What is going on, everybody? It is your boy Baddog back with another New York Giants video. And in this video, I want to talk about what Lawrence Taylor had to say on Good Morning Football on Tuesday morning. Now, he didn't say it in the exact words, but pretty much came out and said that this New York Giants team has got no identity. As the greatest defensive player in the history of football, and some would argue the greatest overall player in the history of football, Lawrence Taylor would know a little something about having an identity on a football team, especially since he was part of the dominant 80s Giants teams that walked off with 2 Super Bowls in 1986 and 1990. You look at that 86 team, look at that 1990 team, they're all the same. They were a tough, blue-collar, smash-mouth football team that ran the ball down your throat and destroyed the quarterback, won the turnover battle, stopped the run, and played incredible defense. They caused mayhem on defense. They caused havoc on defense. You look at those teams, you're thinking of identities. You're thinking of Mark Bavaro. I mean, he wasn't a defender, but obviously he was a very tough-nosed, blue-collar football player. You're thinking about Lawrence Taylor. You're thinking about Carl Banks, Harry Carson, Pepper Johnson. I mean, those are the guys you think of. And when Eli came into the fray and we had those dominant teams, or maybe not dominant teams per se, but really good teams in the late 2000s and then early, between 2005 and 2012, they had a really good team. And again, you're thinking of Michael Strahan, you're thinking of Justin Tuck, you're thinking of O.C. Umenyiora, you're thinking of Eli Manning, you're thinking of a great running game and a solid offensive line. That was their identity. Even in the 90s when the offense wasn't very good, you saw Michael Strahan. Their defense was their identity. You could see superstars being built by these teams. And you look at this team now, who's the guy in defense that you think of? There is no defense. You're thinking of Dexter Lawrence. You're thinking of O'Shane Zemenies. Are you thinking of Jabril Peppers? Marcus Golden? Are these really the guys that you identify with the New York Giants? Offensively, maybe it's a little easier. You can look at Saquon Barkley and say, well, there's the Giants' identity, but really isn't an identity. He had an incredible rookie season. He's battled injury this year. Since coming back from the injury, he's been pedestrian. And that's to put it kindly because he really hasn't been very good. Now, he's shown a little flash recently, and maybe the offensive line has something to do with that. But this is not the same explosive Saquon Barkley that we saw last year. They don't ever use him in the passing game like they used to. They can't set up a screen. They can't, get holes for the guy. But we haven't seen those 40-yard, 60-yard, 80-yard touchdown runs from Barkley that we did in 2018. Is Daniel Jones the identity of this team? Is this what you're going to think about when you think of the New York Giants? Is Daniel Jones the guy that jumps out at you? A guy who I think has done a pretty damn good job considering he's a rookie, considering how bad the offensive line is and how bad the coaching is on this team, but he does turn the ball over a ton. I think he's turned it over 21 times. I could be wrong about that. I know he's thrown 11 picks. I'm not sure how many fumbles he's lost, but it's been a lot. He does have more turnovers than touchdowns. I don't exactly remember if it's 21 or 22. But obviously he's a rookie, and you look past that as rookie season, he's got to improve. But really, what is the identity here? I mean, we're looking at another coaching change. This will be the third time we've changed coaches in 5 years, since 2015. And we may not even have the same GM here. If Dave Gettleman is safe for now, who knows? We'll find out in the offseason. But we may not even have the same GM. I don't know if this Giants team has hit rock bottom, but it's pretty damn close. If they lose to the Dolphins and Redskins, I think that's about as low as it gets. And, hopefully they can go out there and get Chase Young in the draft, and that'll change things. Maybe that'll give the Giants an identity. But right now, Lawrence Taylor is absolutely right. There is no direction on this team. There is no identity on this team, and that's why it's really frustrating to watch. There's really nobody you can go out there and say, I'm rooting for this guy. Maybe Barkley, maybe Daniel Jones. Is there really a guy in defense where we're like, I'm really rooting for this guy? Like, I'm behind O'Shane Zemenies. I'm behind Dexter Lawrence. I mean, I like those guys, but are those guys that you identify with the New York Giants? Like, who is the first guy you think of when you think of the New York Giants on defense? Do you have one? Those 80s teams, Lawrence Taylor, right away. The 90s and 2000 teams, Michael Strahan. It was easy. And even after Strahan left, you could identify Justin Tuck and O.C. Umenyiora. So, I mean, who's your defender? Offensively, you're going to say Saquon Barkley, then you're going to say Daniel Jones. Okay. After that, who are you thinking? Is it Darius Slayton? Is it Golden Tate? Do we even know if we have a decent tight end on this damn team? No. They have no identity. They have no direction. That is why they've been piss poor for 7 years. There's no signs of them getting better. We don't know what's going to happen in the offseason. They got the draft. They got a lot of cap space. And hopefully what they can do is bring in some kind of freaking coaching regime that knows how to develop young talent and build the game plan around their strengths And hopefully Dave Gettleman can bring in players that will build an identity here with the New York Giants, and we can turn this thing around and stop embarrassing themselves week in and week out and start to turn this thing around, like I said, and get better every week and become the football team that they once were, the proud franchise that this team once was. So not only is it the GM, not only is it the coaching staff, it starts at the top of the chain, man. It starts with Mara and Tisch. They're the ones that got to build the identity. They're the ones that got to bring in the right pieces, the right coaches. If they want to change GMs, the right GM, they have to draft correctly and they have to bring in the right free agents. It all starts from the top. Starts with them building the identity back, because the only identity I see with this team is a lousy team that's a doormat and a speed bump for the rest of the NFL. The worst team in the NFL belongs to the New York Football Giants. Sad, but true. Lawrence Taylor's right. No identity here. Needs to change, and it needs to change next year, and fast. It's Baddog, and I am gone. Peace!